Well, hey everybody, I'm Bill with Live Simple, Live Free, and I am about to start part 4 in the series of building our raised bed gardens. You can see them here behind me. Before I start about that, I want to talk about a couple of questions that I've gotten in previous videos. A number of people have asked why block instead of wood. Well, I answered that in the first video, but I built them tall like this so that Elizabeth can garden without bending down because she has a problem with arthritis in her knees. And if I was going to build them out of wood that tall, it would be a lot of extra stress on the wood. But the main thing is that wood rots, and I don't want to have to redo this again in a couple of years, especially because these are so tall, there's a lot of dirt, and if the wood rots, it would all fall all over the place. It'd be a mess. So I decided to do it. Sorry, it's not the virus. I'm fine. It's okay, I'm fine. So I decided to do it out of block also because we want it to be permanent. We expect to be here for many years, and Elizabeth expects to garden for many years. So I went ahead and, yes, it's more expensive, but I went ahead and built it out of block and make it permanent. Speaking of cost, I get a lot of questions about that. I will talk about the cost after I finish, and I can add everything up and I'll let you know how much it is. Yes, it's more expensive than wood, but we'll talk about that after I finish. And then also a number of people have said that the metal that I put in the bottom is probably going to rust and it won't last long. Well, actually the metal that I got is stainless steel, so it's going to be fine. It's not going to rust, at least not for many years. Now, in the last episode I finished building the beds. I finished putting the concrete in the holes in the cinder blocks to make it nice and strong. Finished putting the metal in the bottom. So now it's time to start filling them. So what I'm going to do, and a lot of people have asked about this, that's a lot of volume. What I'm going to do is use hugelkultur, which is a European technique for gardening. I'm actually going to fill the bottom of the beds with old wood, logs, you know, branches, dead trees, that sort of thing. For several reasons. One, I'm going to use it for fill so I don't have to buy as much dirt. But even more because over the years as that wood rots, it adds additional nutrients to the soil, and it makes the garden very healthy, makes the plants very healthy. Also, as that material breaks down, it does a very good job at holding in moisture. So, the next thing I need to do now is get in my truck and go down and get some wood. Barry has a field on his property that has a lot of dead wood all around the edges. So I'm going to do him a service and I'm going to go and I'm going to clear all of the dead wood from around the edges of the field. This is a lot of really rotten stuff. This is going to be great. It's already half decomposed. So you can see that a lot of this wood that I'm using is already rotted way beyond the point where it could ever be used as firewood. But it's absolutely perfect for hugelkultur because it's already started to break down, and all of those nutrients are going to go into the garden soil as it continues to break down. Now we bought our truck right there. It's an F-250 four-wheel drive. We bought that truck to pull our travel trailer. This is what we call our cottage, because it's our cottage in the mountains or at the beach or wherever we want to take it, our second home. We bought that truck to pull the cottage. Now, I had never had any kind of experience in four-wheel drive before. And up until now, the only time I've used the four-wheel drive before we moved down south, the only time I used the four-wheel drive was on snow-covered roads with mostly level roads or just small hills, you know. And I really liked it in the snow, but I've never used it for any real off-roading stuff. And when I went down there to get that wood from my son's property, that was a hill there that was really steep. It was a kind of a four-wheel drive track. Actually, it was a track made by a backhoe to get down there. And it was really steep, and as I went down there, as driving my truck down there, I'm thinking, this just isn't right. Cars aren't supposed to go down something this steep unless it's paved. And I was sweating bullets all the way down because I don't have any experience at all with four-wheel drive. But Barry said that he had been down there with his four-wheel drive truck and it wasn't a problem. So it's like, well, okay, here we go. So I went down there, I loaded up the first load, put it in four-wheel drive low, and I was just praying that I was going to be able to pull out of there. I started it up and it just started creeping up the hill. And I know that you're not supposed to slam on the gas, you just let it move slowly. Started creeping up the hill, and I'll tell you what, man, it pulled right out of that place like it was actually designed to do that kind of thing. I couldn't believe it. And as I continued to make trips down there, I started to gain a little bit more confidence in the abilities of a vehicle like this. By the time I made the fourth trip down there, I was driving around that field on the steep hill like I was driving around a Walmart parking lot. I'll tell you, I could really get into that thing. There's just not all that many places around here to use it, but I would love to have this out west on BLM land or something like that, and just to see what it can do. It would be so much fun. So now I'm finished with the wood. Each one is filled maybe 1/3 to 1/2, and that's going to take up a lot of fill, so I don't need to put as much dirt in there. Now there are a lot of holes in here down in between. The dirt's not going to completely fill in the holes, so there'll be empty hole spaces underneath. Also, as the wood rots, the entire thing will settle. So what that will do in the future is it means that I'll be able to put more compost on next spring without digging, taking dirt out and replacing it, because it'll settle. So I'm liking what I've seen so far. Now I have to do the dirt. I've got some dirt here. I got several piles here of the topsoil that we dug up. I also have another pile of some of the topsoil that we dug up from when I did the driveway. So first thing I need to do is use this to fill in the holes around here. I want to get this completely smooth so that I can make sure grass is planted here, and then I can mow through here. I made sure there was enough space between so I can mow. So I'll do that first, and then I'll use this dirt to fill in. And then I bought some topsoil to fill the top.
now I can't get the shovel through this clump.
You're smoothing that out really nicely. It looks good. You know how describes you, don't you?
What?
She says you're Mary Poppins. Practically perfect in every way.
Yep. Which became more funny after gardening the galaxy, because now I can say, I'm Mary Poppins, y'all! Because he had no idea. Southern redneck Mary Poppins.
Okay, so using the backhoe and with Molly's help shoveling everything out, I've got the beds filled up this far. Of course, I got the logs underneath, and then I've got the dirt on here. And I got the dirt from right here when I made this gravel parking area for my truck a month ago or so, 6 weeks ago. If you saw that video, I scraped several inches of topsoil off the top of this whole section before I put down the gravel. So I actually had a pile that was maybe 2 tons worth of dirt. So I put all of that dirt into the bottom of the beds, and it filled it up to within a foot of the top. Now for the top part, I have bought 1 more ton of dirt, and this is very good topsoil. It's actually a garden soil that I got from a landscape supply company. And this was 1 ton that we picked up in Barry's pickup truck, and it's $60 a ton. I bought just over a ton, so this truckload cost me $70. So that's the only cost that I have in soil, is the $70. Well, and then I'm going to be putting some compost and stuff in it. So now I'll be putting the good garden soil on top of this other dirt that I've got in here. Okay, so now I've got all 4 of the beds filled with the dirt. As you can see, I left some room down below, I left some room in there to put in some compost and some other things. But this dirt that I bought isn't just fill dirt. It's real good garden soil. It's got a lot of biomass in it and all that. I don't know what all it's got in it, but it's good stuff. And you can see the difference in color between that and this, which is the topsoil from my yard. This is much richer, much darker color. I probably don't need to add a whole lot to that because it's not like I'm trying to build up this kind of dirt. But I am still going to put in some manure and some peat moss and some perlite. So I'll just spread that out and then mix it in on the top. For the compost that I'm putting in here, I just bought some bags of cow manure, composted cow manure. Now I know that it's much cheaper and much better if I could find a farmer who has, composted cow manure or something like that. and I could buy it in bulk and it'd be much cheaper. But I did it like this for a couple reasons. One is that the season's moving on and I got to get this done. I got to get this stuff ready to plant. Also, we've just moved here. I don't have any contacts like that. It would probably take me a while to find something like that. And also with the lockdown from the coronavirus the way it is, it'd probably be a lot harder to find something like that anyway. So I just went and bought a few of these. Wasn't all that expensive. And I'm not putting as much in here, like I said, as I would if it was just dirt, you know, from their yard. Because this is already really good soil. So I'll spread out a few bags of compost. And then I'll be mixing in some peat moss. Now this is really compressed. When I open this up, it just all expands. So this will be plenty for all of my beds and then some. I don't even know if I'll use it all. And then for the final ingredient, I'm using perlite. Now perlite does not add any nutritive value. It's just these little balls of fluff. You see it when you buy a potted plant in a store. It basically just makes the soil nice and light and fluffy, makes it easier for the roots to grow down through there. Now, as far as the optimal mixtures of each of these, I'll be honest, I don't have a clue because I've never done this before. But when I read the square foot gardening book, it said the perfect mixture, that after they've done a lot of experimentation, was 3 ingredients with 1/3 of each. It would be 1/3 of diatomaceous earth, 1/3 of peat moss, and 1/3 of compost. Well, I'll put the compost in the peat moss. They didn't mention anything about this perlite, but I got that tip from my daughter-in-law, Molly, who uses it all the time and says it works well. So now I'm just going to mix this all together and try to mix it down, 8 or 10 inches into the soil, and then I should be ready to go to start planting. Now I know that a lot of you have a lot more experience than I do As I've been saying all along, we are neophytes. This is our first garden in 30 years. So I don't really know what I'm doing. I've read a number of books, and I have Molly to help me because she's been doing it for a long time. Did I get this mixture right? I don't really know. But you learn by doing, right? So we're doing, and we're going to learn. And even Molly, who's been gardening for a long time, says she learns something new every year. So this mixture that I used here may not be the perfect ratios, but everything is in there that we need, and it's going to work. So yeah, so now I got this one done. I got 3 more to go. So here's the first bed finished, ready to plant. Well, dear one, it's done, ready to plant. What do you think?
They're awesome, absolutely awesome. I've dreamed of something like this for a long time.
She's already got some things started inside. As soon as the weather is good, we'll go ahead and plant them.
Yep, I should be all ready to get things going, absolutely. So yeah, I'm very excited.
Now we do have problems here in this area with deer, so we're going to have to do something about it. And we could put a big fence around it, but that's, I don't know, it's an awful lot of work. And I think what we're going to do instead is build some kind of a cover on each one.
Yep.
I don't know yet what we're going to be doing. Maybe a couple of hoops, and then I was also thinking something that's a big cage with doors on it, make it taller. Another advantage to that would be we could cover it with plastic and make sort of a greenhouse for it as well.
Yeah,
So,
that would just be incredible.
but I haven't decided exactly what we're going to do yet about that, and as soon as I do and I build it, of course, I'll let you see what we're doing.
Yeah. And of course, I'll let you come along as the things start getting planted.
Yep. Now this was a lot of work, as you can see, and it was made considerably easier by the fact that I had use of Barry's cement mixer and backhoe.
Yes.
It could be done without that. I'm sure most of you don't have that available. It could be done without that. It's just that much more, labor intensive. Also, if you don't go full 3 cinder blocks high, it wouldn't be quite as much work.
That was pure out of his love for me so that I can do this,
Yeah.
all this planting and fixing myself.
So, big question I know a lot of you have, a lot of you have been asking over this whole series, what does it cost? Well, the costs included, I was going to break it down for the block and the cement and all that, but it was all mixed together in the receipts because I bought a bunch of stuff at once, so I didn't break it down. I just have the total cost. But the costs included all the cinder blocks, the concrete mix.
Some gravel that we put in there.
Well, I didn't figure in the gravel because I had some left over from before. The metal in the bottom and all of the dirt. Mm-hmm. And the total cost for all 4 of them was $1,142, which came out to about $285 each. Now I know that there are considerably cheaper ways to do beds like this. I understand that. But we wanted something that was going to be tall, was going to be permanent. I didn't want to have something made out of wood that I had to redo every few years, that sort of thing. So $285 per bed total cost.
But they will be here forever. And
Yeah.
we've tried to put in everything we can think of as we did it to make them work as efficiently as we can.
Right. Now, I did buy 1 ton of this really good dirt to go on top. And like I said, when I was doing it, I had about two tons other dirt that was available to me.
Yes.
That I put in underneath. If I didn't have that available, I would have had to buy 2 more tons, which would have been another $120 because it's $60 a ton.
And also, with us having the good rotted wood available to be able to, from the woods,
Right.
to put down in there for the good hugel culture, also kept us from having to have quite as much dirt right now. Yeah.
Yeah, and we had the wood available, so it's not like I had to go buy firewood and pour in there or something.
No. That was something that was already good. We had already had it.
Yep.
So, yeah.
So there it is. I know a lot of you are thinking, well, that's expensive. Yeah, it is. Like I said, I know there's cheaper ways to do it. But we really like what we got here. And we like that it's permanent and I don't have to mess with it again. All I'm going to have to do is just mix in some more fertilizer and stuff every year. So.
Well, compost. We're going to be trying to compost.
Right.
And
I mean compost, yeah,
not
fertilizer.
fertilizer.
Compost,
No.
yeah.
Compost.
Well,
And
compost fertilizes the.
Right.
Yeah.
But nothing, no artificial stuff.
Right.
It's going to be just natural compost that we can add.
Right.
So a couple things too. We've had a lot of people suggesting, painting them. Even our granddaughter volunteered, and it was really cute. But we once again want to have kind of a long-term situation, and once you do paint something, it'll weather very quickly, and then it has to be repainted over and over.
Yeah.
So I think I'm just going to go with the natural block. As it weathers, it should be fine.
Right.
So, and one of the reasons why this has been possible, besides the fact that he's very good at this kind of stuff, we've had some equipment available to us, and he's got the skills to do this right. But also within our whole Live Simple, Live Free idea, we've always tried to make sure that whenever we have anything extra, we can set it aside for savings. So there's been no credit cards used here, no debt involved at
Right.
all. And this, even if it takes a few years for this thing to pay for itself in any way at all, we don't have any debt from it, and we're going to be trying to plant a garden for many years from now. So
Yes, but the whole point of this is not that we're trying to save money by growing instead of buying.
right,
There's two things. One is that this way we can get it organic. We know exactly what's in there.
yes,
And the other is, I fully believe that in the future, food is going to become more and more difficult to find in the grocery store. And this makes it food available.
yeah, we're going to do our best
So-
to work with things that we can propagate ourselves. Try to get things that aren't. There's no GMO, nothing that isn't going to be able to propagate for years to come. So I'm going to try to get a handle on how to do that and just keep a garden going.
Right.
Yep.
Yep.
So, but also, yep, this was more elaborate and a little more expensive because it's tall enough that I can do it. And ever since my knees have gotten so bad for not being able to kneel, I just can't tell you what a loving gift this is for me, because I just love to garden and I just haven't been able to. It's like I would try to get a garden and then he'd have to do all the work. And
Right.
I don't want that. I want to be able to.
I don't want that either.
I want to be able to plant and
I'll
take
be
care
honest,
of it.
I'm glad to have the garden, and I'm very glad that she's the gardener.
Right, I'm going to do my best to try to take good care of it, and this way it's possible for me. So yes, I'm
Okay.
pretty excited. Yeah,
Guess that's
Yeah.
about it.
they're beautiful, hun. Very sharp looking.
Well, thanks for coming along.
Yes,
I didn't think this project would ever be done.
I know. Bless his heart, he has worked so hard.
Yeah.
Oh goodness. We will let you know whenever we build some kind of protectiveness for the vegetables that we have in here, and I'll take you along with any planting that I'm doing. So, all righty.
Okay, everybody. Thanks for watching.
Live simple.
Live free. You be blessed.
Yep. All right, love you guys. We'll be seeing you soon.
Okay. Bye-bye.